Hey guys, what's up? It is the Chad Prather Show. Welcome to Wednesday. We're going to get into all things Pete Hegseth. What is going on with Pete Hegseth? Has he been replaced? Is he going to be replaced? Will he be ultimately confirmed as the Secretary of Defense for the new Trump administration? I've got some pretty strong opinions on that. We're going to dive deep into it today. I want to encourage you to go over to watchchad.com where all the fun stuff is. Join us Saturday night. Well, Friday night over in Cuero, Texas. Going to be doing a little music with my buddy Cooper Wade. And then Saturday night at Do-Si-Do. That is the birthday show. Get your tickets, watchchad.com. We're going to be doing music. Going to have full band. A lot of surprises for you. Who knows? It's going to be an all-new show. If you've been to one before, this will be different. Guaranteed. And then Wesley Chapel, Florida. Next week, Side Splitters Comedy Club. Man, oh man, oh man. If we don't get this stuff dealt with in our country, there will be nothing to laugh at. So we're going to talk about what is happening, dig down deep into this topic, which is Pete Hegseth. I promise you, of all the topics that I thought at some point in time in my career as a podcaster, as the host of the Chad Prather Show, I never thought that I would be spending this much time on one Fox News host, Pete Hegseth. But we're going to do that today, folks, because it is a hot topic and everybody is concerned about this, and there is a rightful reason for you to be concerned. So I want you to share this episode right now. I want you to click like. I want you to get into the chat. I want you to comment. I want you to talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking about this as we move through this next few moments together of the Chad Prather Show. Like it, like it, like it, share it, share it, share it, put it out there. We are live, folks. I don't know where I am right now. I am actually, I'm somewhere outside of Texas. If you watched the Dear America podcast with Graham Allen this morning, you know exactly where I am. I am actually on the Dear America set, and a guy who is no stranger to the Dear America set. He is America's favorite producer, and he's got the prettiest eyes, according to my mother. She's not gonna like me saying that over and over again. Bring him onto the show. The producer, Royce Chamberlain. Follow him at Royce Chamberlain over on X. What's up, Royce?
What's up, man? Yeah, that should just be your new intro for me, is that your mom says I have pretty eyes. Not you. You don't think it, but your mom.
No,
your mom thinks I have pretty eyes.
I have to put that disclaimer before I start talking about those dark, sultry, dreamy brown eyes on Royce Chamberlain.
They're
brown
green,
eyes?
actually.
They're green.
So.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I have green eyes. We are a rarity in the world. We both have green eyes, but people tend to think that they're brown. Yes, it is party time, Mom. We're going to look into Royce's eyes. Royce, you and I were together this morning on Graham's podcast.
We were.
I had a blast, dude. I'm going to be back tomorrow. It's a good time.
You should come back more often.
You know what? As many times as they'll have me. Graham is high energy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
He and I just went and had lunch together. He fed me pizza, and it was some of the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
I know exactly where he took you. You guys walked around the corner, didn't you?
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
That's
amazing. Good pizza. I would have never known that place was even back there.
Me neither. I know. It's such a hole in the wall, like random little spot, but it's so good.
Yeah. Ate the whole dadgum thing. We each ordered a pizza, ate the whole dadgum thing. It was delicioso. Don't even know the name of the place. Going to have to find out. But it was really good. And then he talked my ear out. He talked my ear off. That's what he does. He talks for a living, and he's good at that. So borderline had me converted to an opinion of his, which is he's also good at that as well. But no, we had a good time on the Dear America show this morning, and you're also the producer for that show. We broke down a number of things that are happening in our country and around our world. I encourage people, if you didn't watch that episode, go watch it. We had a good time talking about World War III and Tucker Carlson's opinion that we may already be in it. We just don't know it yet. We're just waiting on some people to start pushing buttons, and apparently some triggers have already been pulled. But go watch that. He also broke down the element of why Pete Hegseth is so important. I want us to dig a little bit deeper on this today, Royce. This is an important topic. We consider Pete Hegseth to be a personal friend, but beyond that, I think it's more important than how we feel personally about this stuff. And the facts do matter a lot more than our feelings. Before we get into that, let me encourage you guys to give my friends a call over at Patriot Mobile. Is that the one we got queued up first? We got Patriot Mobile.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about our folks over at Patriot Mobile. I love those guys so much. Just on their website last week, I was looking for a new phone, looking for a new service, needed to get another another line because that's what I do. And I got a big family. So I was over on Patriot Mobile checking out all their stuff. If you are concerned about the coverage area, you don't have to worry about that. When you go with Patriot Mobile, they use the same towers that your big three that are out there. The folks that if you have been with historically, they use the same towers. So you're going to get the great coverage. But you don't have to worry about a portion of your bill going to these woke causes that are out there. And so many of these things that you don't believe in, that's where a portion of your cell phone bill goes when you pay the big three. So Patriot Mobile, they're gonna fight for your First Amendment right. They're going to defend your Second Amendment right. They're going to make sure that our veterans and our first responder heroes out there are taken care of. And if you give them a call over there, 972 Patriot, tell them Chad sent you. In fact, use promo code Chad, CHAD. I'll spell it Chad. They'll hook you up with some activation over there. You can keep your own phone, keep your own number, or you can get everything new. They will help you out. They love America. They love God. They love the same values you love, and we need to support them because that is part of what I like to call the parallel economy. And Glenn and the gang over at Patriot Mobile, they demonstrate that day in and day out. So give them a shout over there. If you're looking for a cell phone, maybe it's Christmas time. Holidays are coming up, and it's time to put, you got a kid that's maybe got a new driver's license, they got a new car, they're out there on the road. You need to put them in a cell phone as well. Give them a shout over there, patriotmobile.com. Call them 972-PATRIOT. Royce, there's a lot going on with this Pete Hegseth thing. I've been around Pete a number of times. You know, the big controversy is, he had an encounter with some woman who was not his wife. Now, if I understand this right, and you may correct me, because I'm a little confused. It's a little fuzzy when he was at this hotel. He had given a speech somewhere, and there was this woman who was there who was texting someone else. It was a male significant other. We find out now that this woman was married. Her husband apparently was in the hotel room, but she was texting with a male significant other. And based on the text messages I read, she seemed really obsessed with Pete Hegseth. She seemed really obsessed with him, and she was like, I'm not interested in this guy. I think he's kind of a douchebag, whatever. I don't like the fact that he wears a ring on his pointer finger. She didn't know that was a 22 kill ring, to remember that, we have veterans who are committing suicide every day because of their post-traumatic stress. He wears that in honor of them. He's a veteran himself. He has been a commander in hostile combat situations. He's an overall good dude in general, but he's seen combat, and I don't know if at the time, I know he was married, he was divorced for a period of time, then he remarried someone else, and I think that this encounter that he had with this woman, a woman apparently followed him up to his hotel room. She said he was, a little bit inebriated there, followed him to his hotel room. I don't think he was married at the time of that encounter. There's some speculation there, I think, but I don't know. Other people may know more than me. But regardless, this thing happened. You can't put a spin on it and say this was a good scenario, a good situation. But hey, he who has no sin, let him cast the first stone. All right, let's just say that. Let me just say, as a man, you do, and I'm not excusing it, but you do fall into various types of temptation. I'm not immune from that myself, and I'm just saying this is apparently what happened. But that's not even, they tried to make this out to be some big sexual harassment claim or some kind of a rape claim even. And it's not that at all, because you read this person's text messages. And again, this happened in, I think, 2018. And it's like, okay, why did we wait 6 years for this to come to light? This is always the way this happens. And as you know, Pete Hegseth has been nominated by Donald Trump, who is now president-elect, to be the new Secretary of Defense. And a lot of people came out and said, he's the weekend morning host on Fox News. He's far more than that, okay? Far more than that. And everybody just melting down over this. So, of course, they start digging up the skeletons, trying to see what they can find. But the bigger issue has been, is he a drunk? I could understand somebody saying, that Chad Prather, he's a drunk. I've been to his shows before, and he was pretty drunk. And you know what? I'd have to agree with you. I have done that in my life, Royce. There have been times in my life where I was like, you know what? Could have been. I used to go through a bottle of Jameson Irish whiskey pretty much every single night, especially when I was out on the road doing live shows. There's a good chance you saw me a little inebriated. Might have smelled it on my breath. Might have seen a little hint of imbalance in me. I can't defend against that. Last I looked, drinking alcohol over the age of 21 is legal in this country. You can do it. And before you start getting crazy, they even have parking lots at bars. I mean, it's even legal to drink and drive under a certain limit. I won't go into that topic. That's a whole other constitutional issue that I'd love to argue with somebody for a little while. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not condoning alcoholism. I'm not saying that addiction is okay. It's not. I'm not defending those things. But people do drink alcohol. They do have a few cocktails every now and then. Some people have them every day. I always joke about it when you go to the doctor. Now, I've quit drinking. I'm not drinking, and which is hard for me to even believe at this stage in my life because it used to be a daily occurrence for me. You go to the doctor's office, and they say, how many alcoholic drinks do you have in a week? I was embarrassed when I wrote down 48. Everybody will say, oh, I have like 4, 5, or 6. An hour? I mean, don't y'all understand? I drink with a purpose. I don't believe in recreational drinking. There's a goal here. I'm not drinking it because it tastes good, Royce. And again, one day maybe you'll experience some of this stuff called alcohol. But I'm just telling you that for me, I've consumed a lot of it. And for these people to come out, you have 10 anonymous so-called sources that have been connected with Fox News, anonymous, who've said, Pete Hegseth, he's got a problem. When we were around him, we were uncomfortable because, you get around somebody that's drunk. Like, I'm not comfortable. Most people, if you've seen me drinking, you've still never seen me, quote, drunk, because I don't like it. I don't like feeling imbalanced, and I don't like being around people that are imbalanced. It makes me uncomfortable because I don't know what I'm about to get out of that person because they change their attitude or their mood or their personality changes. It makes me feel a little weird. And so I'm trying to avoid that myself. But to accuse Pete of this, I've been around Pete a few times. I've never witnessed it, but I'm no subject matter expert on Pete Hegseth's alcohol intake. But I will say that I don't get that impression. I mean, here's a guy who swims the Hudson River with the veterans on the holidays, the Navy SEALs. He's got an 8-pack abs. Doesn't impress me as Cousin Eddie, who's popping open beers and sitting on the couch trying to change the batteries on the remote control and door dashing pizza like I would do. So what is the truth? What is the truth? And does it even matter at this stage in the game? So let's pull some of this up, Royce. Any preliminary thoughts that you have on this before we start getting into the slice and dice of the posts that are out there? What do you got to say about that?
Well, first off, if you remember just a few weeks ago, they were trying to pull not exactly the same, but the same strategy on Matt Gaetz, where it's like, oh, there's this guy that we don't want in there. Let's just start throwing, accusing him of stuff to try to get him out of there. And in their case, it worked with Matt Gaetz somewhat. He ended up pulling back. And I think that they're hoping that it works again with Pete Hegseth. But at the end of the day, the sexual allegations, those are already proven false. And the drinking, it's not illegal to drink. You mentioned it. There's nothing wrong with drinking. He's not out here like Nancy Pelosi's husband being pulled over for drunk driving. And we got him on camera. That's not what's going on. People are saying he's not Jesus. Donald Trump doesn't drink. That doesn't mean everybody in his cabinet can't drink either. The dude's allowed to have a couple drinks. And so these allegations are that, oh, I saw him drunk one time. Okay, he's an adult male. That might happen. I don't see the issue. And I also don't see that this being a reason to pull him out of that position either. So that's just like my opinion on the whole thing. Is I don't even get the dramatized, like, oh, he's had some alcohol, he's a drunk. I don't get it. I don't see how this tears him down.
And I want to give everybody a little history lesson first of all. You know who liked to drink whiskey to the point of even making it his retirement job was distilling whiskey. You know who really enjoyed whiskey? George Washington. George Washington, like when his retirement job after his second term as president, he went back to Mount Vernon and made whiskey. Like he had his own whiskey distillery. Like that's what he wanted to do. Thomas Jefferson loved his wine, and Samuel Adams loved his gin. They got a whole beer named Sam Adams. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to this or not. But our founding fathers, and by the way, in the time of our founding fathers, they consumed 4 to 5 times more alcohol than we do today. Now, again, they didn't have the water purification systems and things like that. But again, they consumed about 4 times more alcohol, our founding fathers did, than we do today. So I just want to let you historically let that sink in, okay?
Yeah.
This is one of those things like, really, are we going to have this conversation over whether or not Pete Hegseth had some drinks at the office? Now, again, if you don't understand I'm going to, as I did this morning, you tear down the fourth wall, look behind the scenes. Anybody that's ever worked in TV or media, it's one of those things where it's actually an inside joke. It's an open but inside joke of saying, yeah, we kind of get to drink on the job. Like we kind of get to drink on the job. There's actually a lot of addictions that are there. There's some drug abuse that's there. There's some alcoholism that is there. People who are in that industry, they understand exactly what I'm talking about. So again, I can't believe we're even debating this thing, but pull up that first post there. Let's take a look at this deal. This was, I love that little wipe away right there. This is our good buddy Gunther Eagleman. If you're not following Gunther Eagleman, at Gunther Eagleman, join one of his 1 million followers. Reports show that 6 Republican senators are unwilling to vote to confirm Pete Hegseth. And I don't think this has anything to do with his drinking. But there will be primaries against any senator in at Senate GOP that goes against Trump's nominations. I second that, Gunther. I second that wholeheartedly. We will marshal all of our forces, all of our voices, all of our following, everything that we can do to fight against these people who are going to say no to a disruptor like Pete Hegseth. So you got 6 Republican senators. We understand that Lindsey Graham is one of them. The recent Senate Majority Leader John Thune is another one. I think John Cornyn is another one who's on that list. You need to look it up. You want to do something. We can sit here and talk about it on these podcasts, but you need to call your Senate office. You need to call your senator's office and say, we demand that you approve Trump's nominees, specifically Pete Hegseth. Specifically Pete Hegseth, because if this falls down, if they're able to successfully pull Pete Hegseth out of this position, out of this nomination, then the whole house of cards comes down. This is going to be a battle, folks. This is going to be a battle. As you alluded to earlier, Royce, they've already taken care of, they got rid of Matt Gaetz. We can paint whatever scenario that we want to about Matt Gaetz, whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. Water under the bridge at this point. I'm not going to belabor that point. But if they keep saying we don't like these disruptors that Donald Trump is going to appoint, guys, this is an important position. This is the role of the government. This is the role of the federal government, is to defend us, to make sure that our military is mighty, that they are a fighting machine, that they are ruthless, fearless, brave warriors to not only defend but fight on behalf of American interests around the globe. Yeah. We don't need more bureaucrats. We don't need more politicians. We don't need more of these mamby-pamby yes men out there who are going to mask up and walk around, in parade dress and pretend like they're something they're not. I'm looking at you, Milley. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, General Milley, and all these other guys who, it's ridiculous. Pete Hegseth is a good choice. You start pulling him down, we got problems, Royce. We got problems. And I don't know who those others, I can't remember who the other 6 senators are. Oh. And I'll start naming people and I'll get them wrong. I'm fired up about
6
this thing,
losers
dude.
Is what it is. 6 losers.
I'm so sick of Republicans, man. I'm so sick of the GOP. Listen, here's the deal. The overwhelming majority of American citizens said yes to Donald Trump, which means we want him to carte blanche be able to pick the men and women that fit in his cabinet according to his purposes and his plans. We want him to be the guy who is the commander-in-chief. I don't want some bureaucrat that stinks to high heaven of the inside of the Beltway and comes along and pats your political bobo, says all the right things. No. Pete is perfectly fine. Donald Trump had a reason in appointing Pete Hegseth. He had a reason. I like the reasons. I like what I see so far. The fact that they're going to dig up this dirt, and by the way, folks, we'll talk about this more in a minute, but the fact that now they're floating this idea that Trump is considering replacing Hegseth with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, I don't believe that at all. I think that is, if anything, Trump is playing chess. He's taking some pressure off of Hegseth by letting that idea float out there about DeSantis. Now the headlines go out there about DeSantis. But do you think if he were to choose Ron DeSantis, who, by the way, needs to remain the governor of Florida, according to this person's opinion, according to my opinion, he needs to remain the governor of Florida and keep doing the good job that he's doing down there. We'll handle the Trump administration will handle the federal government over here. Do you think they're not going to try to crucify Ron DeSantis in the exact same way? Whoever Trump picks, they're going to do whatever they can. And by the way, we don't need bought out, again, stinking of permanent politician people being placed in these positions. My jury is still out about DeSantis. I tend to like Ron DeSantis. But again, he's a politician. I'm sick of politicians, Royce.
He's a politician, and he's about to term out, and I think he's probably looking for his next thing, which love Ron DeSantis, great governor, but I don't want to see him become a career politician. I just don't. Yeah. I don't know what his plans are after his governorship. He might end up doing something else and then run for something in the future, but he shouldn't just be chasing the next political position. I don't like to see that. I like Pete Hegseth because he was in the military. Then he went to Fox News, and now he's being recruited to join the government. In the same way that Donald Trump was never a politician until he decided to run for president. And that's why he was so good, because he's a businessman. He was viewing things from the outside, not as a career. He was viewing it as something to go and fix. I think that's how Pete Hegseth views this, and that's why we need him. We don't need someone who's just trying to maintain political power, right? Again, nothing against Ron DeSantis. I just don't think he's the right guy for this. I think he needs to cool off the politics for a little bit, go do something else after he terms out, and then he can come back and he can fill a position that I think we'll find that's perfect for him.
Yeah, I like that perspective. Our friend Mario Nawfal, at Mario Nawfal, breaking DeSantis being considered to replace Hegseth as Pentagon chief. I just don't think that he really is. He says Trump is reportedly eyeing Ron DeSantis to replace Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Hegseth, facing scrutiny over past allegations, may step aside. I don't think Pete's stepping aside. It says he'll pave the way for DeSantis, a former Navy officer and strong conservative ally. Don't disagree with any of that, except I don't think that Pete Hegseth, based on what he's saying today and the things that are coming out, I just don't think Pete is stepping aside. I don't think. Let me just say, and I think I've already alluded to it on a prior episode. The thing about Matt Gaetz is because he resigned from Congress, that made the congressional investigation into his life go away. And then because he stepped aside from being the nominee for Attorney General, now he can go out there and be special counsel. He could make millions of dollars as a private citizen. The guy can be very, very useful in a lot of ways, but it got the heat off of him. I don't foresee Pete Hegseth needing this or doing this, okay? As you said, Royce, the sexual allegations have been debunked. That was a nothing burger. There was nothing there. So now, you're going to boil it down to we smelled alcohol on his breath? What
go
are you
smell
talking
Nancy.
About?
Well, maybe don't go smell Nancy Pelosi, but I'm sure she smells like alcohol.
Come on. Go smell. Good God. Y'all should have partied at Andrew Jackson's White House and see what kind of party they had. We had cocaine at the Joe Biden White House. 4th of July was a year ago. We never got to the bottom of that. We just pardoned, Joe Biden just pardoned his crackhead son. At what point in time did substance abuse become some kind of, apparently that's a pardonable thing. Let's talk about the other night when we were subjected to the post-election video summary from Kamala Harris, who was knee-deep in the vodka. She was obviously inebriated in that video.
Anybody take your power. Don't let anybody do it.
Nobody can take your power. Nobody can take your power.
You do it so well.
Because I know what it's like to be drunk. I know it, and I know how to recognize when somebody is, and she was. Pete Hegseth just doesn't impress me as the alcoholic type. I can usually spot an alcoholic. I see the rosy cheeks. I see the puffy face. I see the skin tones. I see the blemishes. You can't keep pouring poison inside of your body and not have some telltale signs on the outside. Pete Hegseth just doesn't. I'm not saying a guy doesn't drink. I don't care if he drinks. I'd love to have a drink with. You know what? I'll fall off the wagon for you, Pete. I'll come have a bourbon with you, buddy. I'm not coming back to the room with you, but I will have a bourbon. We'll hang out. And who knows, maybe I will come back to the room with you. Pete, you're a cool hang, dude. You're a cool hang, bro. But again, this is absolutely asinine that's what they're going to come to. So Pete Hegseth is hanging in there. I mean, he's like a hair in a biscuit, dude. And I want everybody, call your senator, call your senator, call your senator. You're going to, make it simple for you. You're going to get a voicemail. You're going to get a voicemail, and you're going to leave a voicemail. And you're going to say, we want you to confirm Pete Hegseth for the defense secretary. And not only that, anybody that Donald Trump appoints as a part of his cabinet, we want you to appoint them. Now, I don't agree with the Surgeon General pick. I didn't agree with the DEA pick. And now that sheriff from Florida, Chad, whatever his last name is, he's out. He's out, which I think is great. I'm glad he's out. I don't think he was a good pick. I'm very vocal about the people that get picked. Some I think are positive, some I think are not. I want people who are going to push the MAGA agenda. There I said it. Mm-hmm. I want people that are going to make America great again. And to your point, Royce, let's find citizen patriots who are willing to take the job, do the job effectively without pandering to lobbyists, the people that control the Beltway, the people who are lining their pockets or even their brains with influences that are outside of what we value as constitutionalists. Let's get back to people who literally have given up everything to have some skin in the game. I go back to the founding fathers. They knew when they signed those documents, they were literally signing their lives and their fortunes away. And so I want those people who have some skin in the game. I want people who know what it's like to be a citizen, somebody who's paid their taxes, somebody who's felt the weight of the IRS or the federal government coming against them, people who have tried to figure out how to buy their groceries and pay their mortgage and do all of these things. And you're looking at somebody like Pete Hegseth who's giving up potentially a great career position to go into public service. That's the kind of pick I want. That is the kind of pick that I want. And it's far better than Admiral Levine, who can't figure out which dress blues to wear. I added blues to the end because it's usually a dress. It's usually a dress.
So bad, man.
Oh, pop it up there. Let's see what let's talk about Lindsey Graham for a second. I'm in South Carolina right now. I can feel the weighted residue of Lindsey Graham, and I want to throw up right now. Lindsey Graham, Insurrection Barbie, said he wouldn't blink twice before sending your child to go fight in Ukraine. Find the unsubstantiated allegations that are being slung in the media about Pete Hegseth to be very disturbing. For some reason, he doesn't find disturbing the fact that Lloyd Austin, whom he confirmed sat on the board of Raytheon, because at the end of the day, neocons are terrified of any kind of actual change. That is why they are cheering these smears in the press. We'll play that clip in just a second, but let me just say, the people like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, every time Congress is in recess, he jumps on his airplane and he goes to Doha, which is in Qatar. People will correct me and say it's Qatar. Tomato, whatever. Qatar. But that is, they house the Hamas's leaders in Doha. He's over there talking with the people of Qatar. Won't get into all the things that Qatar supports, but it ain't good. And he's over there talking with them. Why, Lindsey? Why? Because he wants to make sure that the people who make big bank, big cash, big money off of warfare remain happy. This guy's a warmonger. There's no question about it. We know this. We have known this. The fact that he continues to get, quote, reelected amazes me, South Carolina. Come on, Palmetto State. You got to come up with somebody better that can take Lindsey Graham out of the race and beat him the next go around in this election cycle. But this is what the good senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, had to say. Play that clip.
Articles are very disturbing. He, obviously has a a chance to defend himself here. But some of this stuff is going to be difficult. Time will tell. I like Pete. I've known him for a very, very long time.
Seems like potential trouble. Does it seem like potential trouble? What's in the articles?
Well, I mean, some of the things have to be addressed, and we'll see. I mean, what we want to do is make sure that we have good order and discipline. I've been in the military for over 30 years. I was a military lawyer, a prosecutor, defense attorney, and a judge for a short period of time. Good order and discipline is important. Leadership comes from the top. And I want to make sure that every young woman who joins the military feels respected and what articles.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? Every young woman that joins it. What? And by the way, I want you to look at those eyes. You remember what I'm just saying. That's the face of a man who drinks alcohol right there. Let's just be real clear. That is the face of a man who imbibes on the spirits right there. Look at those eyes. Oh, he could be drunk right there. I mean, if you look at that face right there, Lindsey, he might be drunk. He might, I tweeted this yesterday. I posted on X. I said, you want to know what his breath smells like? It's not alcohol. Oh, Lindsey. Lindsey and the Senatorial Rainbow Coalition are bound and determined to make sure that they get to the bottom of these things that are concerning us. There are some things that are concerning us. What is concerning you? What is concerning you, Lindsey? There's some things about Lindsey Graham that concerns me, and I promise you they're far more significant than Pete Hegseth, who went to his hotel room, or how much he had to drink at the hotel bar. I'm telling you, there's far more that concerns me about Lindsey Graham, because this guy wants your children sent to war. He wants your sons and daughters. Yeah, you know why he said the thing at the end about we want our women to feel secure when they join the military? He wants all of your sons and daughters in the military. You know what they're not going to be? They're not going to be secure as we head into constant war. This guy sits at home alone, naked, staring in his mirror, crying, sucking his thumb, humming "Jesus loves me" because we pulled out of Afghanistan. This guy can't stand the fact that we pulled out of the Middle East. He can't stand it. These guys exacerbate every single problem globally that we can have. They love it. He's over there masturbating to the idea of martial law in South Korea yesterday. These people are garbage, man. And you're gonna sit there and tell me. And by the way, we talked about this. I don't want women in combat situations anyway. Not in places where there's actual combat theater. I don't want women in those places anyway. So yeah, let's make it a safe place. Let's let men be the warriors and go out there and do that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not getting into that debate, but come on, man. This guy really, he cares about your sons and daughters. He does not. He does not. Oh. I didn't want to get this fired up about this thing, but it pisses me off. The overwhelming majority of Americans said yes to Donald Trump. The Electoral College, and he won the popular vote. So... and I see that Glad you disagree with me, but I don't care if you disagree with me or not on this women in conflict thing. I'm telling you, we don't need women getting shot at in a theater of combat. We don't need that. Great. We don't need a woman trying to pull 260-pound wounded men who are kitted up because physically they can't. We don't need them trying to pull them out of a dangerous situation while they're wounded and trying to save their life. We don't need that. We don't need them getting blown up by IEDs. We don't need them in a situation. I'm not talking about driving. I'm not talking about flying drones. I'm not talking about stuff. I'm talking about getting shot at. I'm talking about getting shot up. I'm talking about having to put tourniquets on people. I'm talking about having to, find a femoral artery that's deep inside of a thigh and pinch that thing off before your buddy bleeds out. I'm talking about putting a pressure point on a jugular vein. I'm talking about you. We don't need women doing that job. Listen, that is not about me being disrespectful of women. I think it's a compassionate position to have. Look, I'm the one with the microphone. You can debate me all you want, but me personally, I don't think that's the job. I don't think the people that are going out there cutting heads off of our enemies, I don't think that's a woman's role. I just don't. And I don't think Lindsey Graham gives a rat's ass about your boys or your girls. I think as long as they're feeding the war machine, they're happy. They're happy. So, again, such a misogynist. He wants to protect women. I do. And I know you didn't mean that in a disrespectful way, and I'm not coming at you for making that comment. I'm glad that you make the comment. But anyway, that's the deal. She wants help, Royce. She said,
Because
Royce, help me out here.
Disagrees. She says she disagrees with you respectfully. I know.
And I take it respectfully, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. But no, I think that, and again, I'm not one of those women belong at home. No, I believe women should do what women do. Women should do what women want to do. But again, a woman should be able to do what she does under the protection that is provided by the man who went out there and went to war or fought for liberty. And again, that doesn't mean that women can't be a part of a war effort. They can still be a part of a conflict effort. They can still play a very vital role in all of these efforts. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, I know people who come back permanently scarred, disfigured, maimed, impaired, amputated, burned, all these things. And I just don't want to see women have to deal with that. I don't. That's just my place. That's the way I feel about that.
Here's what I'll say about this. There is, biblically, in the Bible talks about it, obviously, just scientifically, there are major differences between men and women. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be, can't be in the military, but there are positions where the natural strength and size of a man is going to provide a better outcome than most women in the same position. And I'll tell you right now, Russia and China are not sending their women. They're sending the larger, stronger men. And that's just a fact. They are larger. They are stronger. That's just how it is. Yeah. Women are great. I'm married to one. And I personally wouldn't want to see her in a combat situation, but especially in an unfair match. We're all upset. All these fights like the Olympics when a biological man fought a biological woman, but it was a women's fight. We all were so mad because that was unfair. If you start saying we are women, never this and that, that's what's happening at war. That is what's happening if we send them to war. We are forcing them in an unfair scenario. They are going to lose most of the time, I'd say. Yeah,
I agree. And to clear it up with K-Glad agreed with me. There was a misunderstanding in the chat, but thank you for letting us use you in that little to spark that little debate. That's why I say I know where you were coming from, but I wanted to be able to clarify that. For K-Glad, you are a regular member. You are a fact packer, and but no, I don't want to clarify that. But no, I think that it's worth having that debate. I think it's worth having that debate from time to time. I've done it over and over again, and a lot of people come back at me on that, and I'm like, man, I want the strongest possible military we can have. I don't think we need a military run by bureaucrats and politicians. I don't think that at all. I think Pete Hegseth, who has led a battalion into combat, I think he knows the ins and outs of that. And he actually tweeted about this. We're going to get to his mother in a minute because a lot of people say, well, even his mother disapproves. That's not true, folks. That's not true. Put what Pete set up this morning, what he put up this morning. He said, I'm doing this for the war fighters, not the warmongers. What a great statement. The left is afraid of disruptors. I mean, just right there, boom. The left is afraid of disruptors and change agents. They're afraid of @real Donald Trump and me, so they smear with fake anonymous sources and BS stories. They don't want truth. Our warriors never back down, and neither will I. So back to our Narfall tweet earlier, our friend who tweeted that. I don't think that he's thinking about stepping aside at all. I think he is 100% rocking and rolling, moving forward until he's told to stand down. We need him. We need him. And I, if I were Graham Allen right now, I'd be saying, put Pete in the chat. Put Pete in the chat. Everybody type Pete. And I love that. But I was watching the chat go this morning on Dear America, and boy, I have never seen a chat go that fast as what it does on the Dear America. You guys almost broke. Y'all have broken the chat a couple of times. But yesterday, Graham's show, Dear America, was ranked number 20 in all streaming programs?
Number 20 above, overall in news network streaming.
Yeah, insane, dude.
Obviously with Bongino at number 1 because he's the GOAT, but to be on that list and be at number 20, it's just incredible. And the chat shows it.
Yeah, I love that people are posting Pete. all 7 of our people in the live chat are typing Pete. I love that.
Pete. Blow up the chat, guys. Pete, if you want Pete to stay.
Pete. Oh my gosh, no. Anyway,
We got almost
I love you,
3,000
Keg
people.
Lad.
If they all started chatting, I think we could blow up the chat right now.
We're gonna blow this thing up, man. We got some big
Pete,
things that are
Pete.
coming. We got some things that are coming at the first of the year that's just gonna blow the whole deal up. It's gonna be amazing, amazing. I'm so excited about the stuff that's going on. Look at everybody typing Pete. I'm
Look
so
at Pete.
encouraged.
We got the chat
Pete,
blowing
look
up.
at
Let's
y'all.
go.
What's up? Pete Hegseth is a good dude. He's a good dude, and you know what? Anytime I've ever been around him, he's never been nothing but nice, and he's a gentleman. He's an officer and a gentleman, and I like that guy a lot. I mean, you really got to pull something out, right? You know, this is ALX, Pete Hegseth. I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. So that doesn't sound to me like he's pulling anybody out and replacing them with Ron DeSantis. I can't stress this enough. If they get rid of Pete, if they cause Pete to step out, and you know what, Royce, Graham made an eloquent point this morning. You've alluded to it as well. You get to a point where real, normal, average American citizens who need to be serving in a government role or position, to an appointed position or to an elected position, they don't want to do the job anymore. They don't even want to try. They don't want to come out because they know they're going to get exposed. They know there's something in their life, something's going to dig something up. You know, the culture's going to come after you, and they're going to, like I posted yesterday.
You mentioned today the skeletons. The skeletons
in your closet. You know, all of my folks have said over and over again, when I ran for office, people said, Chad, you got skeletons in the closet. I said, listen, the only way I know to deal with that is to burn the closet down. Here are my skeletons. I've done this, and this, and this. I've done a lot of evil things in my life, but you know what? People change. People have their moments of weakness, and I think that's what was going on with Pete Hegseth's own mother, when at the time, apparently she sent him a message, and she said, listen, we don't want you to be like this. We want you to live another way. We're very concerned about your behavior right now. I don't know if you guys have ever been through a low point in your life. Apparently when she sent that, he was post-divorce. I don't know what Pete was going through. I think Pete probably, like most war fighters, has a little post-traumatic stress. There's a lot of things that you could do to try to numb that and calm those voices. Alcohol may be a way of doing that therapeutically in some ways, whether, you know, regardless of what your opinion on that may be. They do that. I've numbed myself. I've self-medicated plenty of times. I've looked for reality in the bottom of a lot of bottles. Never found it there, but I've looked for it. I've searched a lot of bottles, Royce. I've searched a lot of bottles, buddy. And so, you know, I don't know what somebody was going through, and I don't know what he was going through at that time in his life. And again, not making excuses, because I don't have to make excuses. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't do anything wrong. But his mother, you know, everybody kept saying, you know, I made a funny tweet yesterday last night, where I said, I've been around Pete Hegseth a number of times. I've never smelled alcohol on him, but I've smelled it on me plenty. So in other words, you know, who am I to cast the first stone? I can't do it. But apparently his mother, and they were like, oh, well, even his mother disapproved. Even his mother disapproved. His mother doesn't approve of him being the Secretary of Defense. That's not true. She was on with Steve Doocy. I'm sorry. She was on with Steve Doocy on Fox and Friends just this morning. And I want to play this clip for you. Here's what she had to say. We played it this morning on Dear America, but let's play it again. Do it.
But we are broken by your behavior and your lack of character. Mm-hmm. When you wrote that, what's the backstory? What was going on that made you so angry you wanted to write that?
Well, I will tell that story in a moment, but let me make two statements first, and one is to President Trump. And I want to say thank you for your belief in my son. We all believe in him. We really believe that he is not that man he was 7 years ago. I'm not that mother. And I hope people will hear that story today and the truth of that story. So the other thing I want to say is I am here to tell the truth. To tell the truth to the American people, and tell the truth to the senators on the Hill, especially our female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media, and that you will listen to Pete.
Well, but we are broken by your behavior and your lack of...
That, God bless you, Penelope. I mean, I think that's a great statement. But now my mother would never come out and say, I was a different mother 7 years ago. No, my mother would be like, I was right, dadgummit. She'd be like, I told you. I told you I'll beat your ass. You know, and listen, she's obviously a loving mother. She said, you're going through some stuff. There's some things that I don't like about your behavior right now. There's some things I wish you would do differently, as any mother would. You don't take that. I mean, this is how insidious the left is. They're going to take that kind of comment, an inside comment between a mother and their son. You guys are sitting here talking about Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden. Oh, that's how much a father loves his son. But yet you guys are going to, on the flip side, turn around and take Penelope Hegseth in her private statement to her son, veteran Pete Hegseth, who's a very public figure, and say, now you're going to use that against them? This was a loving mother's, in a way, disciplinary yet compassionate response to her son. Because I don't care how old you get or what you've been through in life, your mama's still your mama. Your daddy's still your daddy. My girl said to me one time, I said, to me, you are my baby. And I said to my oldest daughter, I said, you are my little girl. And she said, well, I'm not a little girl. I said, to me, you will always be my little girl. I'll beat your ass if I have to. But I'll always talk to you like you're my little girl, because that is a protective place. That is a loving place. That is a disciplinary place. It's a cherished place. I'm not out there trying to, a good parent. I'm not out there trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be your parent. That's what Penelope Hegseth was saying here. She said, I was trying to tell my son, who was in a very different place in his life, man, if you guys could have walked with me in my shoes just a little bit in the last year, y'all might not have liked me so much either. I mean, there's a number of you who don't already, but I'm telling you, I went through some stuff in the last 18 months that if you had to be around me privately, you might not have liked me a whole lot either. People are like, man, we see some changes in you. Yeah, you don't know what kind of crisis stuff I was going through on a personal level behind closed doors. It was brutal. It was brutal for me. Some very emotional times. And you say, what was it all about? None of your business, nosy. But I will say this, I was going through some tough stuff. We don't know what Pete Hegseth was going through, but my God, you're not so insidious and nefarious as to pull up somebody's private life and say, listen, now we're going to rake you over the coals over something so silly. So again, this is about warmongering. This is about people who do not want peace in the world. This is about people who do not want the right man for the job. He is a disruptor. That is the best word for it. He's used it. We're all saying it now. Pete is a disruptor, and they like the status quo. We're trying to upset the status quo. I don't like war being the status quo. I don't like our sons and daughters being fodder for the cannons and the missiles and the bombs. I don't want that. And I don't want people around the world suffering it, drone strikes and attacks and things like that. War is an evil thing, and man's inhumanity to man is troublesome, and we need to do the things that we can to end that. I think Pete Hegseth is the answer on all that stuff. Man, that's pretty sick, man. I honestly, Royce, you got to admit, man, can you imagine if somebody got in your private messages between you and your mom and
yeah, man,
tried to publicly make? I mean, the other day my mother told me my cowboy hat was too big, and I hadn't talked to her since.
No, you don't come between a man and his mom. That's for sure. And so, for Donald Trump to come at him and say, hey, I think he saw what was going on. He's like, hey, just keep going, man. Just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. It kind of had to be said, because there's no doubt. I'm sure Pete's a tough dude, but there's no doubt that he's not feeling some pressure, some of the weight of what people are saying about him. I'm not saying it's going to get to him, but he sees it. It's not like he's muting it out. He knows what people are saying, and that hurts. Regardless of how you let it show, it hurts, and that's his mom right there. So it's good that she came out and did this hit.
And if you're not used to that type of attention, you go from being a newscaster or a reporter on a national news program, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into the limelight. If you're not accustomed to having your mail read, so to speak, or people digging into your private life, and it can be very jarring. I mean, you guys get mad at me when I entertain the trolls on my social media. It can be the nitpicking and the going after somebody. That's bad enough. But whenever they start leveling, life-altering, career-ending, leveling those booms at you, it could be a little bit tough. And so I applaud Pete Hegseth for doing what he's doing in the way that he's doing it, the way he's handling it. And again, as I said at the beginning, I can't believe that we just dedicated 45 minutes of our life defending Pete Hegseth, of all people. I'm like, really? Pete Hegseth? That's what? But that shows you how bad the deep state, they just don't want Donald Trump to put the right people in the right place.
You talked about how this is a chess move by Donald Trump to throw up DeSantis.
Yeah.
The Democrats, they're stupid in one sector, but they're also pretty smart in another, where they might be playing chess on their own. And we talked about it this morning, but everything that's going on in Russia, all the war that's happening in Russia, and that's starting to escalate, and they may be causing some of this disruption just to distract the American people. Just like the bathroom thing, just like this, It all happens right around, some major world news is happening. And in this case, everything that Tucker Carlson was trying to break, that was then kind of pushed down into the shadows.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and if you haven't seen
PSYOP,
that,
I think is what they call it.
PSYOP. If you haven't seen that Tucker Carlson report, it's disconcerting. Go back and watch. If you haven't, you watch the entire episode, but watch the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the Dear America show this morning. You found it over on Rumble. Yeah, it's pretty telling. And the fact that Tucker Carlson's the only person talking about this. There's a lot going on in our world right now, and we're not paying attention to it, man. And it is some scary, scary stuff. I was in an Uber. I got to the airport in Greenville, South Carolina yesterday, and the car that I reserved, believe it or not, wasn't ready. In fact, they didn't have a car. That's how unready it was. They had no cars. I go back to that Seinfeld episode where he's like, that's what the reservation was all about. It was so that you guaranteed that you had the car. The bane of my existence, folks, the bane of my existence in all of my travels around the world over the last however many years, rental car companies. I can't stand you. But anyway, I had to get an Uber. I was in an Uber with a fellow for an hour. Super good guy. We struck up a conversation. Obviously, we were in the car together for an hour. He was telling me about his daughter who's at a university here in South Carolina, and how literally he's got twin daughters, and they were worried. During the Thanksgiving break, they were really scared, afraid over this idea that nuclear bombs are going to be dropping on them at any given time. I mean, the fear-mongering is real. You would think that we would do everything that we could within our power to find people who had a little bit of common sense and who wanted to go out there and create some peace in our world. A little bit of diplomacy, being able to have a conversation with Vladimir Putin without being accused of taking money from him or bribes from him or being his puppet or being in his pocket or, some kind of collusion or some sort of nonsense like that. I'd kind of like to have a president and a cabinet that could go out there and say, listen, we're real strong, but we don't want to have to demonstrate that strength. Let's have a little diplomacy right now. Let's come to an agreement, shake hands over this thing, sign the truce, and move on with our lives so everybody can prosper together. It's a big world, big globe, big planet. We can be able to live on this thing together. But it would seem to me like the Lindsey Grahams of the world just simply aren't happy with that scenario. And you wonder why God lets the wicked prosper. Man, oh man. All right, Royce. Boy, howdy. All right.
Want to hit that last ad?
I do. Thank you for reminding me. And I want you to call your senator. Okay? Call your senator. Get them on the phone or get their answering machine on the phone and tell them, push Hegseth through, okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, United Patriot Coin, man. I love those guys. Give them a shout, man. Get over to UnitedPatriotCoin.com. I don't know if you guys, if you're investing in gold and silver, gold has been at an all-time high. I got a number of people who have offered to buy some of my gold assets recently. If you have that IRA or that 401k or whatever, you need to transfer that retirement account over. You can call them up over at United Patriot Coin. They can help make sure that you are protecting your IRA assets with gold. You can also put some bullion in your pocket and put it in your safe. When times get hard, it's always good to have a little something on hand and have some things of value. And trust me, this is something of real value. No matter how much the economy resets or the dollar loses its power, the world historically has always reverted back to gold and silver. United Patriot Coin can take care of that. I want to encourage you to go over there and subscribe to their Patriot Pack. You get a little bit of gold and silver bullion every single month in the Patriot Pack. And before you know it, you're going to turn around, you're going to have a big old safe full of gold and silver. And you're like, well, I can't eat it, but I promise you can find something to eat if you got some of it on hand. There will always be people who find value in it. And these are the guys that I trust. Go over to UnitedPatriotCoin.com and check them out. Check them out. They're good friends over there. And if you call them up, 877-484-9345, tell them Chad called you or sent you when you call them. I can't talk. I'm losing my voice. I got a lot more talking to do in the next 24 hours. I haven't shut up all day long, Royce. I haven't shut up all day long. I love this. I love this talking. You know what, guys? I don't know what's going to happen on social media here in the days ahead. Mark Zuckerberg's been down at Mar-a-Lago. There's been, we know what's going on with Elon Musk and X. Who knows? Is our algorithms going to be released where we can go back to doing, things where when we actually post something on social media, if you follow us, I saw people in the chat talking about, we love the truck videos because they were short and to the point. Well, guess what? Every now and then I'll still do them. You just can't see them because we're censored. That's why we have to use every avenue available to us, such as the podcast. So when you have the opportunity, please share it, like it, go to where podcasts are offered, leave us a rating and a review, help drive us up the charts. We do that by people just simply listening. I'm pushing everybody I can over to our Chad Prather Rumble page. Also, check us out what we're doing on Dear America. We'll be back on Dear America tomorrow morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central if you want to tune in live. How many people were watching? There was 12,000, I think. 13,000 watching live this morning. And if for nothing else, get on the Dear America podcast on Rumble and watch the chat. Watch the live chat. How fast it spins past, man. I feel like Pat Sajak watching the wheel go around. I mean, it's insane.
Wheel of Fortune. Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane how many people are in that live chat. That excites me. That many people are tuned in and paying attention and participating. I want you guys to participate. You can do it over at watchchad.com. That's where all the fun stuff is. You can do a little shopping at prathertees.com. We still got the Trump candles. They're going strong. As soon as I put them up, they sell out, and we got to put more up there. My girl, she's going to keep making those candles, man. Keep making those candles. This weekend, I'm out and about. You'll find my live schedule, watchchad.com. I'll be in Cuero, Texas, Friday night. Going to be at Dosido in Spring, Texas. Then going to be in Wesley Chapel, Florida, all weekend long. Next week,
excited.
I'll see Royce down there.
I'm gonna go watch you, man. I'm gonna go come see you.
Gonna be a wild ride. Wesley Chapel, man, that theater, the Side Splitters Comedy Club in Wesley Chapel. There's two. There's one over in Tampa, and then there's the one in Wesley Chapel. We always fill that sucker up, and I need to run an ad or something because I have not promoted that show, and so I hope somebody will show up. Hope someone will show up. I got some new stories to tell you, and I want you to come hang out with me. So much going on, dude, in our world. Getting ready for Christmas. Royce, I cannot believe we are in December 2024.
I can't believe it, man.
Man. Go follow Royce at Royce Chamberlain on Twitter. Find him over there on Instagram as well. Follow his content. Got some good based takes over on X. I said Twitter, but it's X.
It's all the above.
Chamberlain. Dude, I just cannot get the word Twitter out of my brain.
My hard thing is I can say X, but when I refer to tweeting, that's just too good. That's just such a good. They had something good going with the name Twitter, but then they botched it and ruined it. So now X is better. But I just don't know how to refer to like retweeting, tweeting. Like, it's posting and reposting, but it's just not the same.
I don't know.
It's just not the same.
I've digested that pizza. Now I'm going to make Graham take me to dinner. Gonna make Graham take me to dinner. Oh, my Lord. Graham told me today he's lost 60 pounds. I was like, good Lord.
Yes,
son.
he has.
He is skinny. He's gotten skinny. He's in playing shape, dude. All right, let's let him go, Royce. Royce, I will see you in the morning. Meanwhile, guys, take care of yourselves. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Share it, like it, do all the good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we will talk to you not only tomorrow morning on Dear America, but tomorrow, again, same time, 2 Eastern, 1 Central for the Chad Prather Show. We love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you then. Bye.